Thank you for tuning in to this series on economic lessons from the movies. My name's Matt Rosu, and thrilled to be joined again by Dirk Mateer, a professor in the economics department. Actually, no, the PPE department at the University of Texas at Austin. Dirk, thanks for joining again.
Thank you, Matt. It's always a pleasure to be with you. I always look forward to these adventures.
And today, I think we're in for a treat. One of the greatest movies of all time, in my opinion, and the Shawshank Redemption has a number of interesting economics lessons within it. What we're going to do is watch a clip from the movie, come back, join you, explain where we find the lessons in them. Hopefully you agree. If you agree, that's wonderful. If you disagree, leave a comment. Let us know if you see something we don't see. It's always kind of fascinating to see a different perspective. But let's jump right in with the first clip.
Hey, man, you rented me for 5 packs already. 4, 5.
There must be a con like me in every prison in America. I'm the guy who can get it for you. Cigarettes, a bag of reefer, if that's your thing, a bottle of brandy to celebrate your kid's high school graduation. Damn near anything within reason. Yes, sir, I'm a regular Sears and Roebuck.
I understand you're a man that knows how to get things.
I'm known to locate certain things from time to time.
I wonder if you might get me a rock hammer.
What?
A rock hammer.
What is it and why?
What do you care?
Well, if it was a toothbrush, I wouldn't ask questions. I'd just quote a price. But then a toothbrush is a non-lethal object, isn't it?
Fair enough. Rock hammer's about 6 or 7 inches long. Looks like a miniature pickaxe.
Pickaxe?
For rocks.
Rocks. Quartz?
Quartz. Some mica. Shale. Limestone.
So?
So I'm a rock hound.
What's an item like this usually go for?
$7 in any rock and gem shop.
My normal markup's 20%. But this is a specialty item. Risk goes up, price goes up. It's making it even $10.
10 it is.
Couple different clips spliced together. I love the movie in general, but love these clips. Seeing these, I guess, what are some of the first things that come to your mind in terms of kind of the economic situation going on at the prison?
Well, what I see is its own economy. Basically, the prison is its own bubble, and transactions and trades get made based on not the market price you and I would pay,
Yep.
but based on the black market price that exists in the prison. And I think Red really said it well. My normal markup's 20%, but it goes from 7 to 10. So that means that he doubled his markup.
Yeah.
Which of course he should, because if he gets caught, delivering an instrument that could kill somebody, he's in a world of hurt.
Yeah. I love how the market comes up here and how I love how somebody's an entrepreneur here and realizes there's a way that I can figure out a way to get things for myself, to make myself a little bit better off within prison. If you're in prison, probably having a purpose where people like and know and respect you and value you probably actually also has a lot of value. And if he's the guy who knows how to get you things, he's somebody a lot of people probably want to protect. I love that Red has become this entrepreneur within the prison environment as well.
Yeah, we don't get his backstory there in that scene. We don't know really why he's there.
No.
But he's made himself valuable. And that's the lesson of any labor market or any market in general. How do you create value? You match the person who wants something with the person who's willing to pay to get it.
Absolutely.
And you create that match, and then you pull a little bit back for yourself. So good for Red. He comes across as being a guy who's got a steady head on his shoulders. He understands his role within that society. He's not trying to do more than what he's asked to do. He's just trying to facilitate those exchanges. And that's all we ever ask of anyone we deal with, Matt, when we're out here outside of prison is, when the construction worker comes up to me, I just want to make a fair trade. And that's all Red's trying to do too. It's great.
No, I love it. And I love one of my favorite statistics that will quote is the value that entrepreneurs bring to society. And some of the studies have shown that they will bring, for every 5 cents of value an entrepreneur gains, 95 cents goes to the public. So, or a dollar is total value, but the entrepreneur captures 5% of it. The rest is consumer surplus. And
right.
I don't know if it's 95% in this particular example, but this market won't exist otherwise if Red's not there to help get Andy a rock hammer. And we know how much, we should put a spoiler alert on.
If you're about to say I know what you're about to say.
Yeah. So if you don't want to find out anything in the movie, I can't imagine why you clicked on this in the first place, but you probably need to stop it right now. But I mean, he uses the rock hammer to get out. And so what was the value to Andy? It was
infinite.
It was infinite, or $1 million+ dollars, and he paid $7 for, and Red got $3 in gains. So I guess it would the 95% matches in this example.
At least, exactly.
99%. So that was a good clip. Let's check out another clip.
Yes, sir.
You enjoy working in the laundry?
No, sir, not especially.
Well, perhaps we can find something more befitting a man of your education.
Hey, Jake, where's Brooks?
Andy, and I thought I heard you out here.
I've been reassigned to you.
I know, they told me.
There will be more from around that scene in a moment. But first, just wanted to highlight that in terms of a labor market that we actually see in prison. And the question I'll ask is, what in the world was Andy Dufresne doing on a conventional laundry line before this? I don't know. I don't know what it was, but
I think I know. I think that they didn't want to show Andy any favoritism. He was the new guy. You start low. But it became clear after a while that he's pretty smart. He's got a good head on his shoulders.
Yeah.
And he's capable of doing some jobs that some of the other prisoners wouldn't be able to do as well. In other words, being in the library is a better use of his talents than in the laundry room.
Yeah, I think when we talk about, it's not really a trade because it's being assigned, but if we in the section with trade, we talk about a comparative advantage and where individuals have certain talents and should be in certain areas. Maybe Andrew was the best laundry person they had, but other people, he might have been, but other people could do that, and nobody else there was able to do with a library what Andy Dufresne is able to do with a library, and build it up and figure out ways to get new collections in there and other things. So just an interesting on the labor market within prison.
I think also Andy benefited a lot from that particular job as well. It gave him access to information. He was able to read things that he otherwise wouldn't read. It kept his mind active. So this is a win-win proposition for the prison.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will let's go on to clip number 3.
That's him. That's the one.
I'm Deacons. I was thinking about maybe setting up some kind of trust fund for my kids' educations.
Oh, I see. Well, how about expanding the library, get some new books in there?
Gonna ask for something, ask for a pool table.
Perhaps I could write the state senate and request funds directly from them.
As far as they're concerned, only 3 ways to spend the taxpayers' hard-earned when it comes to prisons. More walls, more bars, more guards.
Still, I'd like to try, with your permission. I'll write a letter a week. They can't ignore me forever.
Sure can. But you write your letters if it makes you happy. I'll even mail them for you. How's that?
So Andy started writing a letter a week, just like he said. And just like Norton said, Andy got no answers.
And I think on this, you actually touched on this a little bit before we showed the clip, but I love how Andy's mind is being kept sharp here. And the things that he's able to do these are not the things others are able to do.
That's right. Well, how many of them were a very successful accountant in a former life, who understood complex financial planning? And so when the guard comes and says, he wants to set up a trust, I don't think there's anybody else in the prison that could have possibly done that for him.
No, not at all. Not at all. And so, yeah, Andy's mind is sharp. The prison guards getting the access to having a trust set up. And once again, as you said, it seems like a win-win at the moment for both the guards in the prison, the staff, and Andy, and then also everybody around Andy, as Andy has an initiative to start to write to people to say, hey, can we expand things? Even if somebody else says, come on, ask for a pool table instead. Don't ask for just the books. So.
That's right. I think the other thing that's interesting about this part of the movie is, and it's the long play part of the movie where Andy is settled into the prison trying to make himself useful, is you don't know where the movie's going at this particular point.
Yeah,
you know that Andy's becoming a little bit more successful and influential at this environment, but how is he going to use the capital that he's developing? That's the interesting part.
Yeah. Yep. And we'll get a bit more of a sense of that as we watch the next clip.
The following April, Andy did tax returns for half the guards at Shawshank. Year after that, he did them all, including the wardens. Year after that, they rescheduled the start of the intramural season to coincide with tax season. The guards on the opposing teams all remembered to bring their W-2s.
So Moresby Prison issued you your gun, but you actually had to pay for it.
Damn right, the holster too.
See, that's tax deductible. You can write that off.
Yes, sir. Andy was a regular cottage industry. In fact, it got so busy at tax time, he was allowed a staff.
Hey, Red, can you hand me a stack of 1040s?
Got me out of the wood shop a month out of the year, and that was fine by me. And still, he kept sending those letters.
What I find fascinating on this, and I want to get your opinion, is the willingness of so many people to have one of the convicted felons, convicted murderer, do their taxes instead of going somewhere else. I find that part a little bit surprising. What would be the what would be the rationale for them on this one?
Well, I'm just assuming that the price must have been right.
Price probably, yeah, it's free. It had to have been, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so you find somebody who has expertise. You don't have to pay somebody else to do the taxes for you. And if for whatever reason it goes sideways, you have a fall guy in Andy if you really need it.
Yeah, that's pretty. I think that's a fair remark. But as you mentioned, the political capital keeps getting built up, right? He starts to do the warden's taxes here.
I heard that, yes.
And if the warden is thinking it's so valuable, the thing I think about, and it's a movie, right? And it's 2 hours. They're not going into this too much, but I'm curious of the effect. Did the warden do his own taxes before and then just decided to have Andy do that? Or did the warden have a local tax guy and then decided, oh, you know what? I'm not going to give you my business anymore. I'm going to go to this convicted, one of our felons do it for it instead.
Well, we don't know, but what we do know is that the advice Andy was giving was probably saving all of the guards and the warden money on their tax returns compared to what they were in the past. Like being able to deduct the gun. I remember that's not the business expense. So somebody who's really attuned to that will find those extra things that save you those extra dollars, and that's important to everybody.
Absolutely. We'll move on to the next clip. We've been hearing about the letters that Andy's been writing. Let's see a little bit more on the results of what happens here.
What's all this?
You tell me, they're all addressed to you.
I take it. Dear Mr. Dufresne, In response to your repeated inquiries, the state has allocated the enclosed funds for your library project. This is $200. In addition, the library district has generously responded with a charitable donation of used books and sundries. We trust this will fill your needs. We now consider the matter closed. Please stop sending us letters.
I want all this cleared up before the warden gets back.
Yes, sir.
Good for you, Andy.
Wow. It only took 6 years. From now on, I'll write 2 letters a week instead of 1.
I believe you're crazy enough. Now, you better get all this stuff out of here like the captain said. Now, I'm gonna go pinch a loaf. When I come back, this is all gone, all right?
The books come through, and certainly the way they portray it, it sounds like the taxpayers decided the government officials decided, I'm so tired of opening these, it's worth it. It's worth spending $200 of taxpayer money, so I don't have to read this anymore. That was my take on reading that. I don't know if you had a different take on it.
Oh, that's certainly a possibility, although they actually saved all of these, which is pretty impressive because they could have just thrown them away.
Sure.
I guess my take is persistence
Yeah.
matters. And when something is important to you, you don't let it drop. And your take is probably correct. Like, this guy will just not stop. And so here's some money, please go away, which is an entirely plausible solution to the problem.
Yeah. I think you're right too, though. It certainly could be both, right? If you're a government official and you get a nice letter by somebody who says, hey, we're convicted felons, but we want to make ourselves better, and a library is a way to do that. Is there any way you can do a little bit of funds? And I mean, as an economist, we could say the ROI on these funds might be actually highly positive, because if some of us get out and are more educated, this is a good thing. And they could be annoyed and want it to go away at the same time. So maybe both of those.
Well, our inner economist hopes it's the return on investment rather than they're annoyed, but we'll never know.
Yeah, we'll never know. So let's go to what I will have as the final clip.
No free ride, but rather a genuine progressive advance in corrections and rehabilitation. Our inmates, properly supervised, will be put to work outside these walls, performing all manner of public service. These men can learn the value of an honest day's labor while providing a valuable service to the community and at a bare minimum of expense to Mr. and Mrs. John Q. taxpayer.
Of course, Norton failed to mention to the press that bare minimum of expense is a fairly loose term. There are 100 different ways to skim off the top. Men, materials, you name it. And oh my Lord, how the money rolled in.
If this keeps up, you're gonna put me out of business.
Ed.
This pool of slave labor you got, you can underbid any contractor in town.
Ed, we're providing a valuable community service here.
That's fine for the papers, but I've got a family to feed. Sam, we go back a long way. I need this new highway contract. I don't get it, and I go under. That's a fact. Just have some of this fine pie my missus made specially for you. What do you think about that?
Ed, I wouldn't worry too much about this contract. Seems to me I already got my boys committed elsewhere. You be sure and thank Maisie for this fine pie.
And behind every shady deal, behind every dollar earned, there was Andy, keeping the books.
2 deposits, Maine National and New England First. Night drops as always, sir.
In many ways, I think this is the most interesting economics moment of the film. You see that, what's the first thing that comes to mind when watching the clip with the warden's plan to get the inmates working?
The warden's plan on the surface of it works politically and economically, right? He's putting the prisoners to work. They're getting rehabilitated. And then, of course, the plan all along, I think, was that the warden was going to skim off the top. Otherwise, why go through all the hassle?
Sure.
But the effect on the actual outside labor market and outside entities is pronounced. And this is the story of public choice and government interaction in the marketplace. And I always think of how we talk about in macro, how government can crowd out businesses through changes in interest rates, right?
Yeah.
Well, this is the prison labor crowding out the regular labor, doing exactly the same thing, and that these unintended consequences are enormous, and yet they're very rarely talked about. But good economists know that if you see the surface analysis of anything, that if you stop there, you're not a good economist. Then you have to ask, what are the secondary effects? And what are the unintended consequences? And then and only then do you get the big picture that explains human behavior. So that's why that's such a brilliant scene.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love it. And within public choice, which for those who don't know, a public choice is the analysis of government actions through the lens of economics, largely that politicians, and it's kind of a harsh view, but politicians aren't necessarily just out for the public's best interest. They're out for their own self-interest. And I think it's a bit harsh. I know a lot of people go into public service for the right reasons, but there is a lot of truth to that, because our politicians do want to get reelected, and they'll say things for that, or they may want to get paid a little bit more. And within public choice, there's this idea of rent-seeking behavior or economic rents, where if it seems like such a great deal, okay, so there's extra profits to be made. Who's going to be making them? Well, it's often the people. We say it's rents because it's the people who own the item that you could get the rents on. In this case, it's the prison labor, and the warden is getting kickbacks because of that.
Yeah, he's getting kickbacks. He's getting in deeper and deeper too, and Andy's getting in deeper with him in terms of understanding his finances. And where all the money is being slushed as well. So Andy's becoming more valuable. The warden's becoming hooked on the extra money. We're just setting up the big finish of the movie. And of course, we're using this economic intrigue to set it up, which is what makes the movie fascinating to me, and I suspect fascinating to you as well, Matt.
Yeah, it's truly fascinating, and the different levels. The first time I watch something, my econ brain isn't always on. I mean, some stuff just jumps out at you, but wasn't thinking through the fact that, oh my goodness, by setting this up, he's harming the competition so much that they either go out of business or they end up paying him money to do this. So it's not quite the public service that you're seeing, because much of the public's being harmed. It's not what initially ends up happening here. So kind of fascinating.
Well, you don't see that anymore. Actually, if you look at how prisoners are used these days, that they don't compete much with private market enterprises, partly for this reason. So it's a fascinating historical context too.
That's the last of the clips that we have. There's more we really could have shown here. We discussed showing more. I love how Andy starts to educate some of the prisoners, which increases their human capital. And you, I know, wanted to talk a little bit about where the movie ends and how this all ties back together. So what do you think about how the movie ends with
well, so one of the reasons why I love this movie so much is it's actually kind of hard to watch for parts of it. It's a little bit gritty. It's a little bit emotionally draining.
Yeah.
But the ending to this movie, which takes you completely full circle in life, just reminds me of what our previous discussion was like in the previous video.
Sure.
So when I think of Up, it is about ultimately not the scene that we talked about, but the redemption of Carl by actually going to Paradise Falls. And in this case, it's Andy's attempt to redeem Red once he gets out of prison as well, and the life that they live outside of prison in the end. So the big arc of both movies is actually just makes you feel really good at the end and it's worth all the trouble to watch it and think about it. And that to me is what makes a great movie.
Yeah, both of them are really fantastic. I cannot fathom anybody made it to this point without having seen it before, but hopefully you've seen this. And the next time you turn on Shawshank Redemption for yourself, you're going to see these and think about it a little bit differently. If you heard our takes on anything and you thought we missed something, please leave a comment. Let us know. It's always fun to hear from folks. And if you like this sort of content, this is part of a series. We will have some on economics in the movies. I'm talking to Ben Smith soon. We're going to go through some economics in Star Wars very soon. So if you're a fan of that, subscribe, click the notifications bell. And Dirk, once again, thanks for taking some time to talk about both the Shawshank Redemption in this video and Up in the last video. You can check that one out. We'll have the link in the description. Any closing words of wisdom for the audience?
Oh, I don't have any words of wisdom. Just to watch more of Matt's takes on these movies. That's what you should be doing with your time. That's the best use of your time, everyone.
I have no words that can top that. So with that, I'll just say thank you to everybody for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.